Just like the film's colour grade, you can add some seasoning to the dialogue and make it pop alongside the image. You can do this with something called a basic audio grade. Welcome to the Film Nook. Sound is something we're still learning, so we've asked Mark Edward Lewis of cinemasound.com to show us how we can add a little salt and pepper to dialogue to really bring it to life. We've sent him one of our previous films backstage, and he's going to work his magic.
Thanks so much. It's probably less magic, Richard, and a little more audio voodoo. Ooh, it's weird. On cinemasound.com, we have a lot of people asking us about how do I get a powerful, immersive, and emotional mix with sound effects and music that doesn't compete with my dialogue mix. And that's a great question to ask and very difficult to do if you only really know how to mix with faders. And a fader's fine, but basically has all frequencies go up and down together. And that's not really the tool that we want to use in order to make a powerful Hollywood-level immersive mix. What is the right tool? Well, one of the tools that we use on cinemasound.com is called the Dialogue Basic Grade. Now, you would never consider doing a secondary grade to your footage without first doing a basic grade, where you drop the blacks, raise the whites, and deal with color balance and all that stuff. You get a somewhat flat-looking but uniform amount of footage that all is the same. Then you add your secondary grade and all those elements. We do the same thing with dialogue, where we find and reduce frequencies that might just be kind of poking out too much or are too sensitive to our hearing mechanisms. And then once we've got that established, we add our secondary grade, contour with highs and lows and all those things. I'm going to show you how to do both of those things right now. Let's roll. All right, we're here in Adobe Audition, and if you've never opened Adobe Audition, we invite you to come to our website, cinemasound.com, and stream our product, Adobe Audition 123, which basically takes you from, I've never opened Adobe Audition, I don't know how to use it, all the way to Hollywood deliverables in 5.1 in about 3 hours. So we've got some dialogue here from this little film. Let's take a listen to it, just kind of straight off the camera, or however it was recorded.
Hello, it's Eric. It's Jake, right?
It's Jack.
Ah, yes. Jack. Jackie boy. Anyway, how are you feeling?
Well, it's not recorded badly. It's actually recorded pretty well, but it's in a really reverberous room, and, there's a few things going on here. We've taken the Gentleman in the Bathroom's line out and put it on a separate track like we would in a regular mix. Let's just set up a thing here with the Jackie boy line. Just so I'll put it on a loop here, so we'll get really, really tired of it. So I've added some denoise and de-reverb, which is built into Adobe Audition. We go into these settings quite a bit and how to use them in the Cinema Sound Education. I'm not going to do that here. But here's what it sounds like with those instantiated.
Hello, it's Eric. It's Jake, right?
And his line is not clean.
It's Jack.
Ah, yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
So it's a lot cleaner. There's a little bit of artifacture in there, but it's certainly much, much better. And when we're done with the basic grade, it'll be much better. How do we do a basic grade? Well, the first thing we do is we instantiate an EQ, in this case, a parametric EQ. And like we say, an EQ allows you to have independent control of frequencies, both high and low, and to boost or cut, and to say how wide or narrow. And you can get very wide, of course. And I'm just going to share with you what this sort of sounds like if we sweep this up and down.
Ah, yes. Jackie boy. Ah, yes.
It's kind of that kind of thing. And this is what we're going to use to find the frequencies that are kind of too loud, that maybe just stick out too much. And what we do is we start at about 100 hertz, which is the basis, the bottom of the human voice, boost 20 decibels, and have about a 30 Q, which is very, very, very narrow. And from here, we're going to sweep up through frequencies from 100 hertz up to about 5K and listen to see frequencies that just sing out. They're going to kind of go like this. So let's check this out. We're going to, again, keep this on loop. We're going to get tired of this dialogue, but oh well.
Ah, yes. Jackie boy. Ah, yes. Jackie boy.
There's your first one right there, about 140. Now, the first one you run into on men and women is one we want to leave alone, and that's the fundamental frequency is what we call it. It's the basis of their voice. Between men, and on men, it's between 150 hertz and 100 hertz, and on women, 200 hertz about to 150. So this first one we want to leave alone, but as we move up, we want to get rid of the rest.
Ah, yes. Jackie boy. Ah, yes.
There's the next one.
Jack.
That's one we want to get rid of. When we find a frequency we want to get rid of, we reduce it by 10 to 15 decibels and make it just a little bit wider. And then take the next band and do the same thing, kind of wherever we left off, 20 decibels, and maybe a 30 Q or so, something narrow, and continue.
Ah, yes. Jack. Jackie boy. Ah, yes.
Now, there's
Jack.
a little bit of a one next to it. It's very, very close. And when we find two that are close to each other, we'll take the bottom, the lower one, and we kind of split the difference, reduce it a little bit more, and make it a little bit wider and continue. That way we get kind of two for the price of one.
Ah, yes. Jack. Jackie boy. Ah, yes. Jack.
There's another little one there. We want to reduce that a little bit and go like this. And 270, we're going to do the 20 decibels and the 30. And I'm going to do this, continuing up the frequency. I'll see you on the other side of the bands that we have here.
Boy. Boy. Boy.
All right, so now we've got a nice beginning of a curve, but I've run out of bands. We can't really use the shelves or the passes, high pass or low pass, to do a basic grade. Although, you know, what we should do is always a good practice to roll off frequencies below 90 hertz at about 48 decibels per octave, because there's nothing down below 100 hertz anyway that a human voice can put out, and the rest of it's just junk we don't want. So what do? We need to go to 5K, but I'm only here at 4 or 500. Well, what we do is we go and instantiate another parametric EQ. Yay. And we just kind of pick up where we left off. We say 500 hertz is where that last band was. Here's 500. Here's 20 decibels, and we just continue with new bands.
Boy.
We're going to reduce these. Now, as we get higher up in frequency, all of these bands will start sounding, all the sweeps will start sounding like they're whistling, but they're really not. We just need to find the ones that are really, really loud.
Boy. Boy. Jackie boy.
That just hurts, and we definitely want to get rid of that kind of thing for certain. Maybe even a little wider. Here's 1873 plus 20. And when you get a few dozen of these basic grades, you start realizing where the frequencies are, and you don't have to do this process all the time. You can just go, oh, I know that's 500 hertz, I know that's 10K, I know that's whatever. And you can go through and do this very quickly. It just takes this process to get familiar with the frequencies at first.
Jack.
Oh, boy.
Jackie boy.
And I've run out of bands again. It's no problem. We're just going to add another band. We love parametric EQs. And because we're in the land of digital, we don't have to worry about, degradation of sound or whatever, because we're adding EQs. We're not doing analog anymore, thank goodness.
Jackie boy.
And we're good. From about 5K and on up, it really doesn't matter. Right, so we've got 3 bands of parametric EQ, and what they've done is reduce sound. So what we need to do is make up for that. I'm going to put in the first band here, and we're going to take the master gain up about 6 decibels to sort of compensate for the cutting that we've done. Let's take a listen to what it sounds like without and with. It's going to be very subtle, and let's see how it sounds. See if we can notice the difference.
Ah, yes.
Without.
Jack. Jackie boy.
And with.
Ah, yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
And without.
Ah, yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
And with it.
Ah, yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
And, it's subtle, but you can definitely see how this dialogue, it's cleaner, it's a little less bulbous in a few frequencies, and it's going to blend with sound effects and music so much better. Now, some of you may look at this and be like, hey, man, all you've really done is added some phase issues. Well, maybe, but what we've really done is pulled out the frequencies that would keep us from being able to layer in other elements of the mix. And as long as the actor's not running all over the place or there's phase issues with multiple microphones itself, what you can do is actually save these as presets in Adobe Audition, or really in any plugin that does this kind of EQ work, and so that you always have a preset available per actor, per microphone, per scene, and you just drop these in and you don't have to do this process again. Now that we have a basic grade, let's do our secondary grade, a contour, and we're going to add yet another parametric equalizer, and it's one of the reasons why we like to have parametric EQs that have more than 5 bands, because sometimes you're going to get to 10, as we certainly have here. For the secondary grade, we don't want to be very surgical. We want to be much more sweeping, much wider. We want to add, because of the room noise and the room ringingness, we've lost some high frequencies. We want to add some of that back.
Ah, yes. Jack.
This stuff.
Jackie boy.
So about 65
yes. Jack.
or so.
Jackie boy.
We'll add a little of that. And there's some kind of weird, kind of honkiness going on, the contour-wise. We want to get rid of in those upper mids.
Ah, yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
Right around in
yes.
here. Make it a little
Jack.
wider.
Jackie boy. Yes.
And then if we can, without accentuating the low frequencies of the room, which is going to be difficult to do because his voice is down there too, we want to see if we can add some lows.
Yes. Jack.
This stuff here.
Jackie boy. Yes.
Let's be careful.
Jack. Jackie boy.
And now with it off.
Yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
And on.
Yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
And now with all of the EQ off.
Yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
And with it all on.
Yes. Jack. Jackie boy.
So it's subtle, but it's definitely important to do a basic grade and your secondary grade before you do any other elements of adding mixing or sound effects, Foley, music, or anything else. It just makes it a lot easier to blend all of those elements together. Hopefully you found this video valuable, and I invite you to come visit us at cinemasound.com, where we have the world's only fully comprehensive education for the independent media creative, just like you, where we show you how to get that elusive Hollywood immersion and audience impact into your productions. Richard, thanks for letting us hang out, sit in, and visit.
Thanks for that, Mark. This is definitely something we're going to learn and try out in the next short film. If you want to subscribe to Mark's channel, you can find it right here. Links to cinemasound.com and everything else we've spoke about are in the description below. And remember to achieve it one shot at a time.